His Aunt Linda.
As Buddy was saying, she couldn't make it. And the reason she couldn't make it is because this is overwhelming. We're usually the ones in the crowd supporting the moms. And now she is the mom. This is very hard for her. And I want y'all to understand. When my sister called me, she screamed. And any mother who's had a child, it's a piercing scream. And she said, the Minneapolis police killed my baby, and I hope it's not true. And I was just weeping in my soul because Buddy had already called my husband, and he was consoling me, telling me that my nephew was gone. So there's a couple things that I just want to say to you mothers. Don't look at her race, look at her pain. I want you to support her because of her pain, not because of her political affiliation, not because of her color, not because of anything except for the fact that a mother lost her son unjustly. And to the PD, I'm talking about every police department. I'm talking to you specifically. I need for you to extend the same amount of grace that you are able to extend when a young man shoots over in Roseville, Minneapolis, 4 days before Amir, and you were able to escort him and put him in custody after he shot at you. I need for you to have extended that same grace to my nephew. I need justice because of the fact that this was a warrant for property. It was for property. And you feared when you went in there. And even if you was in fear, the fact he was executed, he was. And the reason was because it wasn't one shot, it wasn't 2 shots, but it was 3 shots that entered his body that we know of. Wait until the rest of the story is told. Because we've only seen one camera from the body of our police officers. Where are the rest of the cameras that we haven't seen that have been reported? We want all the footage. We want all the footage. And to you politicians, you should be outraged. You should be outraged. Not us. Not your people out here should say enough is enough. It ends now. It ends. No more black blood. No more on the streets. No more at the hands of the police. You have to do something about this. Because if you don't do something about this, God will. Trust me.
No justice! No justice! All right. I need everybody to take 4 giant steps back, especially the press. I understand that you need your shot, but you need to get out of the way, please.
Welcome,
Thank you.
everybody. We're here live in downtown Minneapolis.
Everybody take a
Where
big
over
4
1,000
steps
people have
back.
gathered
Big 4, yeah, you're fine.
to demand justice for Amir Locke.
All right. We are going to start marching. Before we start marching, I have a couple of reminders. First of all, the cops are not supposed to kill guilty people either. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what he did. The cops take white supremacists that shoot at them all the time. There is no amount of guilt that means that the police get to decide that you're guilty. You deserve to have your time in a court of law to defend yourself. It doesn't matter what that young man did. He deserves to live to defend himself. Can we
Before we go to the precinct, the family just wants to say one more time that we are so grateful and we are so thankful for the solidarity that is exhibited here on this day. They asked for the 22 days for Amir, and we just really want you to love on each other in the way that we cannot love on him right now. You know, we said this yesterday, but the reality is with these no-knock warrants, they are systemically unleashed in black neighborhoods and black communities from state to state. Okay, so when we look at these no-knock warrants, they're not doing these exercises in the suburbs. There are crimes in the suburbs. They don't no-knock their way into those houses, and all we're saying is, please don't do that in our house, okay? There could have been a baby on that couch. And so what we're asking you is to slow down and realize that we are human. We are not 3/5 human. We have rights. We have the First Amendment, we have the Second Amendment, and it is okay for black people to have conceal and carry permits. There are people who shoot up communities all over the place, and the police say freeze. The police say drop your weapon. The police say so much, and black bodies are not extended the same opportunity and the same grace. And so we ask you throughout these 22 days to please pray for the souls of the people in these uniforms. We ask you to pray for their souls because you are not to be thugs with badges. That's right. The most hurtful thing about this whole thing was the fact that my aunt and my uncle had to fight against stereotypes. So I have a request for the media. Don't ask them who Amir is, who he was. Let me ask you a question. Who were you at 22? Who was your daughter at 22? Who was your son at 22? What you did was you robbed them of the ability to become who you are today. So when we talk about #22 or justice for Amir Locke, who were you at 22? What was your dream? You have robbed a mother who carried a baby for 9 months. He was still working. It's a dream. He's still plucking away. And he was executed. He was executed. So we have to remove the bias. We have to ask the Minneapolis Police Department, when you lay out the facts, don't be strategic. Let's not play the racist game that we played when Emmett Till was killed. Okay? Come on now. Let's do something new. Let's give the facts as they are. Or you say, you know what, we don't have all the details yet, but you know what details you did have. You knew that Amir Locke was not on that warrant, and you didn't put that information out there. So you have a father in pain and a mother in pain because they have to fight and defy the stereotypes. We don't need to humanize any black man or any black woman for you to soften your heart. Your heart should already be softened. Okay? So the reason that this is taking place is because people are putting these strategic ideas in your head about who black men are, who black women are. Let's stop with that. Let's stop with that, okay? So the cognitive dissonance, we talked about that yesterday. What is that? That's when you have an ability to disconnect because of what you see on the screen because you're not related to me. This same disease is what is plaguing black families all across the country because these women who are missing are not getting the time on TV. It's because of that cognitive dissonance. It's because of that same disease. I don't need to humanize my child for you. justice.
No peace.
No justice.
No peace.
Peace in the streets for 22 days and hopefully more. God bless you, and we thank you.
All right, we're gonna get it moving. The family needs to get out before we go, so please, as they're moving through, create space for them to leave. Everybody, please make space for the family to leave. Thank you.
Amir Locke.
Say his name.
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 Amir Locke.
Say his
There's
name.
paratonic Jeff Storms,
Amir Locke.
part of the Benjamin Crump legal team.
Say his name.
Amir Locke.
Say his name.
Amir Locke.
Say his name.
Amir Locke.
Again, we're here downtown Minneapolis.
Say his
There's
name.
about over 1,000 people.
Amir Locke.
Say his name.
Amir Locke.
Great. We're gonna start moving. So please let the family leave.
folks
The
are
banner needs to
gathered
come
at the
up here.
corner.
Everybody needs to stay behind the banner when we march. Where do you need to be while we're marching in the street? Where do you need to be when we're marching in the
Fifth
street?
Street, football.
Where do you need to be when you're marching in the street? Does that include the press?
Yes.
Does that include the press?
Yes.
Does
You
that
can see
include
there's a
the press?
lot of folks here.
Thank you. Everybody stay behind the banner. That is how
Large
we can keep
poster.
everybody safe and from getting hit by traffic.
Abolish,
All right,
abolition
we're
now,
going to start
ACAB.
moving. Thank you.
This is a revolt against racism. Stop the war on Black America. 9 seconds. Resign, Frey. So again, Amir Locke, we'll be talking about it throughout the day. Give me a moment to get settled, and then we'll bring up some more information. Check out info.ninja for more right now. That's Black Lives Matter in Portuguese. So there's a lot of marshals out here that are going to provide traffic support. This person is really wild with shorts. It is very cold out here. 4 degrees real feel. It'll get colder as the evening goes along. The cars start the march. The cars are protectors of the march. And the back end will have cars as well. So Minneapolis just continues to have drama after drama after drama inflicted upon its citizens from the authorities and also from the community. Very troubling time these last few years in Minneapolis. Just 3 days ago, on February 2nd, early in the morning or before 7 a.m., Minneapolis police officers with the SWAT unit 1280 and 1281 that were backed up by served a no-knock warrant and in 3 apartments at the Bolero Flats apartment complex off of Marquette and 11th. During their police intrusion into apartment 701, or apartment on the 7th floor, the police kicked a couch that Amir Locke was sleeping in a blanket on. He rolled over, grabbed a gun, kept it pointed down, never put his finger on the trigger, and was killed within 2 seconds. The killer was Mark Hanneman, a SWAT officer with the MPD. He was also part of a scandal in 2012 that gave illicit drugs, a statewide program from the Minnesota State Troopers that gave illicit drugs, including heroin and cocaine, to unhoused people and Occupy protesters in 2012. That was Mark Hanneman. He's also a person who is wanted for multiple complaints against him from the community. He was never disciplined for those complaints. He received a minor discipline for the Drug Recognition Evaluator Program. Check out our website, Unico Live, for a full story on that. Give me a moment.
No justice! No justice! No justice! Indict! Convict! Send those killer cops to jail! The whole damn system is guilty as hell! Indict! Convict! The whole damn system!
See, no-knock warrants are death warrants. There's a lot of controversy over the no-knock warrants. Jacob Frey ran his whole election last year. If you don't know much about Minneapolis last year, what happened 2 years ago from the George Floyd uprising, there was a ballot initiative to think of a possible different approach to public safety besides Minneapolis police. And also, there was another initiative, amendment to give the mayor more power. The police and press really ran hard, along with some rich donors in the DFL, to push against Amendment 2 and also to give Jacob Frey more power. Both of those happened for the richer portions of society here in Minneapolis-St. Paul. And hence, the Minneapolis police are actually going to get more funding, 150 some more officers, and also in the process of that, the mayor has more power. So within that, the mayor was running off of his whole campaign using the idea that he banned no-knock warrants during his reign as mayor. And because of that, we should all vote for him again. Well, turns out that no-knock warrants weren't banned, and there was exceptions to those no-knock warrants. He immediately put a moratorium yesterday on no-knock warrants, and even said you can't even have an exception on the no-knock warrant. Good to see you.
For justice.
Move for justice, Louis Tran, always holding it down. King Demetrius out here, always holding it down. A bunch of other independent photographers and press out here. Real quick, so Jacob Frey yesterday announced the moratorium on no-knock warrants and even on all exceptions. Now, not only do we know of this one instance where St. Paul police were doing a homicide investigation, and that's where this warrant came from. Well, supposedly there's 11 other warrants that have been filed for no-knock warrants since then, since Amir Locke was killed. So quite wild. Another situation, another development of the situation is that who signed the no-knock warrant was a judge that we are all very familiar with here in Minneapolis. If you watch the Derek Chauvin trial, you will know that in that building, right there, on the 18th floor, Derek Chauvin was tried for murder of George Floyd, and the judge was Peter Cahill. Judge Peter Cahill is the same judge that signed the order for the no-knock warrant that killed Amir Locke. That is what we hear. So I have not seen the warrant. Evidently the warrant was for property in the apartment, not persons. There might have been 3 people named on the warrant. None of them were Amir Locke. So overall, very, very troubling killing. Amir Locke was a registered gun owner, had no criminal record, There was a press conference with his family yesterday where they talked all about him and his life, and where people talked about also how incredibly reserved he was to be waking up out of a deep sleep, grab his gun and not point it at anyone and not put his finger on the trigger. When he was killed, he did not have his finger on the trigger, and he never had his finger or the gun pointed up. So that's another situation where people are pointing at. Anyways, we're here downtown Minneapolis. That's a little bit of the conversation of what happened. There's a lot more to it. Check out our website for more. Unicorn Behind That Ninja. Check out our Twitter feed, UR_Ninja. Check out our Facebook, our YouTube, and our Instagram, and Vimeo. Just want to touch on a little bit some of the loss that this community has been handling. You know, since the 3rd precinct was abandoned by the police and overran by the community, they are now housed here downtown in this building. You see the fencing and the concrete barriers around it. That's where the 3rd precinct has their offices now. But touching on the grief that this community is dealing with, they're also dealing with some community violence, but then also beyond that, like the killing, beyond the killings, the killing of Amir Locke, the killing of community members. The community is also dealing with one of the 3 very large giants in this community have died recently, starting with Bill Cotman. We had Clyde Belcourt and Mel Reeves. Mel Reeves was a fixture at a lot of these movement spaces. All 3 of the elders that I just mentioned are sorely missed in this community. And it's been a very rough couple months here in Minneapolis for a lot of people, for a lot of reasons. And that's only just jumping off of the last couple of years where this community is dealing with intense police violence and a pandemic. So right now, this march is headed off of 3rd Street and 2nd Avenue, I believe. The 1st precinct, I believe, is where they're headed to. Here goes Neighborhood Reporter. I'm going to show you all some Neighborhood Reporter real quick, holding it down. Hey. Good independent journalist right here. As I was talking about King D and Louis Tran. Georgia Force, some other folks, a ton of folks that I'm missing, but this community has been blessed. We got Chris June up in the front taking pictures. A lot of great photographers out here that I didn't mention as well. Really holding it down for this community, documenting the resistance to some of the violence that I was just talking about. So, this is a family justice center. If you all remember 2 years ago when Derek Chauvin was having his first hearings, this was the building he was brought out the back of.
You don't want no justice, take your bitch ass home. You don't want no justice, take your bitch ass home. Take your bitch ass home. Take your bitch ass home. Take your bitch, take your bitch, take your bitch ass home. Take your bitch, take your bitch, take your bitch ass home. Get it in the street, get it in the street. Get it in the street, get it in the street. got your boots on the ground. We got our boots on the ground. Y'all got your boots on the ground. Y'all got your boots on the ground. Y'all got your boots on the ground. Boots on the ground. Boots on the ground. Boots on the damn ground. Boots on the ground. Boots on the ground. And that's on that, on that, on that. Now boots on the ground. Boots on the ground. Boots on the ground.
Sorry, I had to check some things. We had a little bit of technical issues with the camera. Hopefully we're all good now.
Boots on the ground. Boots on the ground.
And when we start walking, I'll talk a little bit.
Boots on the ground. Boots on the ground.
Yeah, boots on the ground. And that's on that, on that, on that.
Boots. Boots. Boots on the ground. We're here. We're here to shut this shit down. Boots. Boots.
Boots on the ground.
We're here. We're here.
To shut this shit down.
Boots. Boots.
Boots on the ground.
We're here. We're here.
To shut this shit down.
Boots. Boots.
Boots on the ground.
We're here. We're here.
To shut this shit down.
Remix. Boots. Boots. Boots on motherfucking ground. We here. We here. Let's shut this shit down. Down. Boots. Boots. We're here. We're here. Let's shut this shit down. Down. Boots. Boots. We're here. We're here.
To shut this shit down.
Say his name. 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 Fucking say it. Say his name.
Very loud crowd. a little pan of some of the protests. It's a large crowd out here. Didn't want to stay for it all. Be 5 blocks behind by that time. At least 1,000, probably 2,000 to 3,000 is my guess. Folks are moving down 3rd Street to 1st Ave, just past Temple. Thank you for covering.
I'm gonna say a name, and you guys repeat. You got blood on your hands. MPD. You got blood on your hands. Tim Waltz. You got blood on your hands. Jacob Frey. You got blood on your hands. Minnesota. You got blood on your hands. The United States of America. You got blood on your hands. Donald Trump. You got blood on your hands. Joe Biden. You got blood on your hands. What's his name? Amir Locke. What's his name? Amir Locke. What's his name? Amir Locke. What's his name? Amir Locke.
First precinct is right here. They have metal shutters closed.
Unity looks like. Show me what community looks like. Show me what unity looks like.
Convict, send those killer cops to jail. The whole damn system is guilty as hell. In jail. Convict, send those killer cops to jail. The whole damn system is guilty as hell.
Sorry about the static.
Fucking streets! Whose streets? Whose streets? Whose streets? And I'm up here because I believe that it's time for us to have control over all of these institutions that govern our lives. If we don't have a hand in it, I don't want it. The police are supposed to work for us, and we don't want them anymore. We don't want racist white men from other counties coming in here and killing us. Mayor Frey needs to resign. These are his pigs. Whose pigs are these? Whose pigs are these? Whose pigs are these? Frey needs to resign, and the chief of police, the interim chief of police needs to resign too. All of you were guilty. Every single last one of you. So I want to welcome our first speaker, Angel, who's going to speak on behalf of TCC for Jay. We thank you all for being here, so give it up for Angel.
Hey, yo. First of all, we're going to move people, right?
We're going to move the sound truck up. I'm sorry, everybody. We just want everybody to be able to be up here. Say his name! Say his name! Say his name! Say his name! What's his name? What's his name? What's his name?
So folks are gathered on the street. The first precinct is. See the first precinct off to the left side. It's metal shuttered. Again, my folks are here demanding justice for Amir Locke, who was killed during a no-knock warrant, during the exercising of a no-knock warrant. The warrant was signed by Judge Peter Cahill.
Second thing is, if we had what we're trying to fight for at Twin Cities Coalition Justice for Tomorrow is CPAC, and it is called what is a Civilian Police Accountability Council. Has that been in place? This officer would not be running around here. He would be done, and he would be indicted and convicted because the community control of the police would be investigating his ass and taking his ass straight to jail. So if you are a Minneapolis resident and a registered voter, see one of my TC for J persons and sign the petition to get that on the ballot for 2022, okay? Okay, that's all I want. That's all I want you to do. Because we need community control of the police. And that's what we're working on. And if you don't want to sign right now, you just want to know more about shit, hit up TC for J on our page. You can come see us. We tell you all about it and what we're doing. That's all I wanted to say. And the next thing I want to say is justice for
Amir Locke!
justice for who?
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 Amir Locke!
And one more thing I forgot to mention is that families serving families against police brutality, they're having a ball at 400 Wabasha in St. Paul at 6:30 and to share with Love Community to be there to support the families. All right? Justice for all stolen lives.
Sorry about that. Next up, we have Jaylani from CARE Minnesota. CARE Minnesota organized a big car caravan yesterday, which is part of why our event is so big today. So we want to thank everybody for coming out, but especially CARE for helping us publicize this event. So I want to welcome Jaylani up to the mic.
On your left, on your left. Listen!
All right, everybody. First of all, I know microphone can't reach everybody, but I want to first of all just greet you all with a greeting of peace. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. May peace and blessings be upon you all today. I want to just say this because it's important to say that all of you did the most important thing you could do today. You being here today. You showed up here today. You showed up here today. You could have done a lot of things, but you showed up for Amir's family. You showed up for each other. You showed up for our city. And there's a lot of people at home today that didn't show up. There's a lot of people at home that have not showed up. There's a lot of things I could say today, but I want to just remind you one thing. When George Floyd was killed in 9 minutes, many of us moved in ways we'd never moved before. Many of us felt pain in ways we've never imagined before. Some of us cried while even walking, while talking, because we could not make sense of how somebody could be killed in that manner for 9 minutes long. Amir was killed in 9 seconds, but actually he was killed in 2 seconds. It doesn't matter how long, it doesn't matter how short. It doesn't matter. What matters is that it's the same police department. It's the same officers who engaged in a lawful other black man who was out defending his property and his home that they were hunting for him. Jaleel Steele, his case. We now learn that the officers who were involved in this case were the same officers who were saw on a camera. When we say we need change, we're not talking about lip service. I want you to know today, after George Floyd was killed and the entire country, the entire world saw the brutality that echoed from the streets of Minneapolis on 38th in Chicago, the state of Minnesota has done nothing to hold police accountable. The city of Minneapolis has done nothing to hold police accountable. And this past year's election, many of you voted back in people who said that they promised to bring change. Where are they now? Where are they now? When last year in January, just about the same time right now, many of our groups put together policies to at least hold them accountable. One of those policies was to limit no-knock warrants. And the story about that is that it was Democrats that watered it down and made it almost the same policy that already existed. Warren Limmer, who's the Republican senator who refused to even have one hearing about police accountability, one hearing, is still here in Minnesota right now. He does not believe the existence and the humanity of black people. So I'm telling you right now, we could have saved Amir last year, but we did not. Governor Walz, Melissa Hortman, and Senator Gazelka, I think now it's Senator Miller, who's the Senate Majority Leader. It is time for you guys to realize we have to put pressure on these politicians until we get change. Until we get change. Until we get change. Because I'm telling you, Amir's time is over, but there's a clock that started for one of us. The clock started for one of us. It's going to happen again. It's going to happen again. Unless we do something about it. The state session just started. We need to take over that Capitol. We need to show up every single day. This is one of the worst states to be black in this country. The worst in education, the worst in economics, the worst in almost every aspect of life. If you care about black lives, we need you to show up. We need you to show up everywhere, on the streets, in the Capitol, and in the damn City Hall behind us. It is easy to feel the pain, but that pain has to be channeled in ways that move you differently. That move you differently. We can no longer be silent. Many of you came here today alone. Don't come back here alone. Bring some people with you. Many of you have friends today that said, yes, I heard about Amir. What are you doing about it? America, Minnesota, wake up. If you think it's not you, it's coming to somebody you know you. It's time for every single one of us to realize that doing what is right is the only thing that we can do. And doing what is right means we stand up for each other. We stand up for each other's humanity. We have to do that. Protesting is part of the process. It ain't the only thing we got to do. You got to call people. You got to show up to their houses. You got to show up in front of their lawns. You got to show up in front of wherever they're at the grocery store. If they put themselves in a position of power, then the people have to check that damn power. Amir Locke should be alive with us right now. But he is not, because our own tax dollars paid for his execution. If you live in Minneapolis, if you buy something from Minneapolis, you paid the taxes that killed Amir Locke. Take that and let it sink. We paid for the killing of Amir Locke. We do not want to pay for the killing of more black people in this city and in this state. We cannot allow that to happen. And so we got to stand up. So here's what we need to do. We need this officer not only fired, but he needs to be charged. Expeditiously. 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 And that police chief, the interim, take the interim out and send her home. 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 And for the other police officers who were involved in that, they also need to be fired. They need to be fired as well. If they were involved in the hunting of Jaleel Steele, they should have never been back on the force. So we need to do something about that. So here's what I'm asking all of you to do. This week is the first week, y'all. Many of us have been coming back to these protests when there's like 50 people, 100 people, 25 people. You got to show up. You got to show up. And we got to show up everywhere. Every city, every corner. Amir Locke's name has to be everywhere. There's a lot of names on a lot of lists all over this country. Time has come for us to take back our own tax dollars so that they do not hurt each other. They do not hurt us or hurt one of our neighbors. We can do that. We can do that. Public safety is in the hands of the people, y'all. Public safety is in the hands of the people. It is not these racist cops who are fired. It's in our own hands because we paid for it. We are the ones who voted that policies in. We voted Mike Freeman in. We voted this Jacob Frey in. We voted all of these people in. It's time for every single one of us to stand up for black people. It's time to stand up for black people in this country. And now here I'm going to end with this. Justice means something for every single one of us.
That's right.
Justice does not mean that we say it. Justice means that we fight for it.
That's right.
That we persistent for it. It's every single day. And we have to do that. We have to do that, y'all. So here's what I'm asking. We're going to be doing more protesting. You got to bring more people come out. Because Minneapolis is more than this, y'all. I've been in protests in Minneapolis where we had hundreds of thousands of people. We can come out. And today is actually not even that cold, y'all. It's like 30 and nice. Some of y'all wearing shorts. People got to come out. And the next place I want you to come out to is there's an actual federal trial going on as well in St. Paul. Some of y'all have not showed up yet. There's a federal trial going on for the murder of George Floyd. Those 3 officers need to be put away. Guilty, say it with me. Guilty, 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 guilty. That's what they need to hear in St. Paul and in Minneapolis, all over. So we're going to demand justice by any means necessary.
Give it up for Jaylani one more time. I know that he just said that it's not that cold, but I know we've all been out here for a while, so I am going to try to keep it moving. Next up is going to be Sam Priest-Stinson, who we recently elected. And so we want to have Sam speak to us today. Sam is a really amazing activist in our community, shows up for every single action, so give it up for Sam.
All right, y'all, I'm going to keep it brief, but how many times have we seen the mayor get down on one knee at the side of a black casket when he has the ability to get up, but the person in the casket does not? How many times are we going to allow for him to lie? That one-gas policy that he put out yesterday, that moratorium, it's useless.
It's useless.
Because it still allows for the police to do what? It allows for them to define what timely is when they walk through your door. It allows for them to decide what is imminent danger when it comes to black and brown and indigenous bodies. And if you read the fine motherfucking print, it says that they can still do the no-knock warrants. So that fucking moratorium ain't shit. Why don't we have a moratorium on bullets? Why don't we have a moratorium on stopping those ketamine druggies? Because they haven't stopped. How many more times are we going to allow him to lie? And there's not even a fucking ethics complaint. But you know who there is an ethics complaint against? A previous black council member who deleted a fucking Facebook post because of racist white supremacists in the comments. And they're suing a black man. But we don't have an ethics complaint against Mayor Frey. Mayor Frey is trash. He is spineless. He lacks intestinal fortitude, and y'all need to stop calling him the boy mayor. He is a grown, stop that narrative. It's dangerous. He is a grown-ass 40-year-old man with a child and a whole-ass wife living in a 6-figure condo with a 6-figure salary. He is not a boy. Amir was a boy. My oldest son is 22 years old. You know how many times he's fallen asleep on a homie's couch? Right. And do you think I'm expecting to get a call that he got murdered? Executed? Mayor Frey gets no passes. Every single elected official knows what the fuck they signed up for. They knew the conditions. They knew what was going on. So I don't want to hear that they need to take their training wheels off. I don't want to hear that they need space or grace, because the only ones that deserve space and grace are the families who have had their children mowed down by this murderous-ass systemic system of policing. These slave patrols, this sundown town. Enough is enough. And I don't have a whole lot of power in my elected office, but you know what I do have control over? The flow of the money. That's why I ran. So when it comes time to vote on his worthless-ass budget, full that's inflated to fund policing, you bet your ass that my vote is going to be no. And I will do whatever is in my power with every breath in my being, because I am a proud black woman. Make no mistake. I'm a veteran and I serve this country. I am a black Latina mother, and we are tired of crying for our babies. We are tired of the blood being spilled. Now is the time to act. Now, not tomorrow, not next week, not at the next meeting. So for the council members out there, and I saw some of you, you need to call an emergency meeting around the budget, and you need to pull the funds that were given to the police, because there was a report that was put out that they withheld from us, which is an elections integrity issue. It said that we did not need more police in this city. How many of y'all knew that?
I did.
And people let their fear drive them to vote against what was in our best interest. You need to call an emergency meeting immediately and pull those funds from the budget. Pull the whole budget out. Y'all have the power to do that. Don't let the city attorneys tell you you can't. That's what they're paid to do. They're not paid to work for us. They're paid to mitigate the city enterprise. So I'm elected, and it is official that I'm coming for their motherfucking ass.
Whose streets? Whose streets? Whose streets? Whose streets? I know my voice was kind of crappy earlier, so I don't know if people could hear me. But coming out here is not enough either. Just being out here is not enough. Both of the people that have talked to you so far have told you you have to do more. We have to actually hold these people's ass to the fire. If we elected them, we have to hold them to a higher standard, or they don't get jobs. If the police are going to murder another black man, they don't get paid either. Until we have real democratic control over all of these institutions, we will be powerless to change any of this. If you see anybody here that has a CPAC hoodie on, or who has a clipboard, we are trying to get community control over these murderous cops so we can get rid of them. Because we can't trust city council or anybody else to do it for us, and we can't abolish what we don't control. So get involved. Just showing up and yelling in the streets is good, but it's not enough. Get involved. So I want to leave you with that, and we are going to march back to our starting location. What am I going to say about marching?
Stay behind the banner!
What am I going to say about marching?
Stay behind the banner!
What am I going to say to a press person that almost gets run over by the lead car?
Stay behind the banner!
That's what I thought. All right. Indict, convict, send those killer cops to jail. The whole damn system is guilty as hell.
I'm gonna go black for a moment. We'll be right back.
The whole damn system is guilty as hell.
Check, check. Should be good now.
I got another new one, okay? So we're gonna do it to a beat, all right? So here's the beat. All right, so I'm gonna go, who's down with the revolution? And you're gonna say, we're down with the revolution, okay?
One moment, y'all. I gotta check something.
Revolution? Who's down with the revolution? We're down with the revolution. Who's down with the revolution? We're down with the revolution. Revolution, revolution. Revolution, revolution, revolution. Revolution. Who's down with the revolution? We're down with the revolution. Who's down with the revolution? We're down with the revolution. Revolution, revolution.
Sorry about that, y'all. This should be good. Again, we're here in downtown Minneapolis. Give me another moment. Let me put my glove back on.
Say his name! 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 Black lives, they matter here! Black lives, they matter here! Black lives, they matter here! Black lives,
a few thousand folks have gathered to demand
Black lives,
justice for Amir Locke.
All right, we're gonna try another new one, okay? All right, so I'm gonna say who run the streets. You're gonna say we run the streets, okay? Who run the streets? Who run the streets? Who run the streets? Who run the streets? Who run this motherfucker?
If you don't really know, you're just tuning in. A lot of things happen this week. You need to get into a better spot. So
who
don't run
run
over
the streets? Who run the streets? Who run the streets?
February 2nd,
who run the streets?
7 in the morning.
Who run this motherfucker?
Minneapolis police officers
who run this
serving a warrant for St. Paul police who were doing the police homicide investigation.
Who run the street?
We're able to get a no-knock warrant. St. Paul just wanted a search warrant. Minneapolis said they wouldn't give a search warrant unless it was a no-knock warrant. No-knock warrants had been banned, supposedly by Jacob Frey. He ran his last election under that auspices that they stopped no-knock warrants, but there was exceptions. So those exceptions were met, evidently, by the police. Guess who signed off on the warrant? Was Peter Cahill. Judge Peter Cahill was the same judge who served over the Derek Chauvin trial for killing George Floyd. Supposedly, according to Michelle Gross from Communities United Against Police Brutality, the police have also served maybe 11 more no-knock warrants since Amir Locke was killed. So there's a lot to this case. Go to our website, unicornriot.ninja, for more. We have a couple pieces up. One specifically talking about the killer, Mark Hanneman. Another one specifically talking about the body camera that was brought out, that was released. Excuse me. And then the next, first one, a few days ago, we have an article that talks about 3 black men killed by Minnesota police in the span of 66 days. So in November, Noah Kelly was killed in Mounds View, the son of Brian Kelly. Christopher Fiafonu, Koku Christopher Fiafonu from Togo, was living in Austin, Minnesota, was killed by Austin police in December 23rd, I believe. And then we have Amir Locke, killed February 2nd. So that's 3 men, all black.
All power to the people, all power to the people, all power to
one biracial,
the people.
one African, and one African American. All 3 of them gentlemen killed by Minnesota police
to the people
in the span of 66 days. Now, when we're talking about Amir Locke's killing, this march did not go by the Bolero Flat apartments, but he was killed at Bolero Flat, which is straight up this block where we are at right now, Marquette Avenue, and this is 4th Street. And the crowd is not going that direction, it looks like. So, from my understanding, Bolero Flats is down that block.
The people united! The people united!
So again, Amir Locke was 22 years old, was sleeping on his cousin's couch. He was a registered gun owner, he was a DoorDash driver, and because of the crime in the community and the lack of policing, there is police here in Minneapolis. They have not been policing since George Floyd killing. They just sort of stopped policing, and it's specifically said by other police officers that they do that, and why they don't respond to certain situations is because the city council members were against them. So literally that's a situation where police officers are deciding to not police certain communities, and then when they do, they are coming into that community like a war zone and treating everybody like a terrorist or an enemy combatant, specifically folks that are black and brown. That is what the community continues to say, and what we've basically seen throughout the latest installments of Minneapolis police incidences. So Amir Locke, again, was 22 years old. The St. Paul police have been doing a homicide investigation. Again, as I said, there's a lot of community killings that have been happening. People have been really struggling through a lot of different stressors here in the society during this pandemic. We're gonna chill out with this marching band for a minute, and then we'll get back to the rest of the story. Marching band going on as the crowd moves down 3rd. Excuse me, 4th Street, I believe. So, as I was saying, Amir Locke, 22 years old, St. Paul police, looking to do this investigation into a homicide. They asked for 3 different warrants, or they asked for warrants from Minneapolis police. Minneapolis police carries out those warrants, executes those warrants. Again, those warrants were specifically signed by Judge Peter Cahill. They were signed to be no-knock warrants. The police then entered the apartment that Amir Locke was staying in while he was sleeping, face down on the couch, wrapped up in a blanket. They entered with a key, announced their presence after they entered, kicked the couch that Amir was sleeping on, and within 2 seconds killed him. He was asleep before they kicked it. He was gathering his bearings. You could tell he had grabbed his gun that was next to him. He was a registered gun owner. Again, as I was saying, he was a DoorDash driver. There have been a lot of DoorDash incidences of carjackings and robberies for drivers, so he had that to protect himself. From there, he ends up being murdered by the police, who then consistently said, along with the chief, in the beginning of the situation, in the incident, said that he was a suspect. They did the same exact thing to Winston Smith. They've done the same exact thing to numerous amounts of people, including Thurman June Blevins, who in 2018, on the north side, the police ended up killing him, then saying that he was the one that the 911 calls were for. That turns out to be not true. Consistently, the first stories that the police continue to tell, along with the press, have been ruled false. You look at George Floyd, it was a medical incident. You look at this situation, Amir Locke, no, it was a situation where he was the homicide investigation against him, and he was on the warrant, and he had a gun, and the police produced a lot of the 2 images of the gun. Just essentially, it's one of these situations where a lot of people are just calling into question the continual cover-ups, as you could say, that the police are doing after they kill a person in the population. So again, we are here live in downtown Minneapolis. If you want to know more information about these situations, go to unicornriot.ninja. Go to our Twitter feed. We have a few threads on the situation. When the body cam was released, they released about 50 seconds of it really slow, and then like a faster version that cuts off at the end. And it's only one person's body cam. So again, like even that they give out right away is not the full story. A lot of people are questioning their actions. So people are demanding specifically 3 specific things: that the officer be fired. Officer Mark Hanneman is still on the job. Not only do they want the officer fired, they want Frey, Jacob Frey, the mayor, and the interim chief, Amir Huffman, whose office is right here in this building, City Hall. They want her to resign and the mayor to resign. So those 2 resignations. And then they also want, the community is also continuing to call for a stop to no-knock warrants, including a stop to the exceptions that continue to be said. You saw Jacob Frey yesterday possibly put a moratorium on these no-knock warrants, as well as a moratorium on the exceptions. But that was already consistently said before. So again, the police officer who killed Amir Locke, Mark Hanneman, was a Hutchinson police officer deeply involved in a statewide state patrol run scheme to give illicit drugs to unhoused people and Occupy protesters, and to evaluate what those drugs do to them as part of a drug recognition evaluator program. It's got a couple different names: drug recognition expert, blah blah blah. The DRE program. A lot of founding members and members of Unicorn Riot participated in creating a documentary around this issue in 2012. Check that out on our website, unicornriot.ninja. We do have a post talking about the Hutchinson police officer, Mark Hanneman, who killed Amir Locke, and his involvement in giving illicit drugs to unhoused and Occupy protesters. And then they would drop the people off at the Occupy encampment at PV Plaza in 2012. Quite the scheme, a scandal that they had. It was stopped for a short time, and then I believe continued. The other officers involved, 2 of them were involved in beating Jaleel Stallings almost to death on May 30th, 2020, during the height of the uprising, where that night, May 30th, the police decided to go hunting against the populace, and with their hunting, they ended up injuring dozens of people, shooting many people with 40 millimeter marker rounds and other less lethal munitions. May 30th, Jaleel Stallings was on 14th and Lake with some friends, protecting their business, protecting their houses, protecting their neighborhood from the threat of white supremacists who were armed. An unmarked van with his lights off rolled by, started shooting at them, Jaleel and his friends. Jaleel shot back, not knowing who it was. Once he saw it was the police, he dropped his gun and laid on the ground. The police subsequently beat him almost to death and charged him with attempted murder. Jaleel Stallings beat the case. Minnesota Reformer did a lot of really good spotlights on this piece, on this situation. They released, they got the body camera that showed the hunting of people, and showed the beating of Jaleel Stallings. We'll have a piece about that in the next day up on our website. So those two people, Nathan Sundberg and Christopher Dobble, those two people were involved in the beating of Jaleel Stallings. I believe Sundberg was in Unit 1280. Dobble was in 1281. Also in 1281 was Kyle Mader. Kyle Mader beat a homeless advocate, JoJo, last year, 2 years ago in December.
Justice for!
At George Floyd Square.
What's his name? Say his name! Say his name! Say his name! Say his name! Scream his name! What's his name? Say his name! Justice for! I want him to be able to hear us in heaven. What's his name? Say his name. What's his name? Say his name. 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 What's his name? Justice for. Justice for. Rest in peace. Rest in peace! Amir Locke! Amir Locke! Amir Locke! Amir Locke!
No good cops in a racist system! 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 Hey, hey! Ho, ho! Mayor Frey has got to go! Hey, hey! Ho, ho! Mayor Frey has got to go! Hey, hey! Ho, ho! Mayor Frey has got to go! Mayor Frey has got to go! Hey, hey! Ho, ho! Mayor Frey has got to go! Ho, ho! Mayor Frey has got to go! Hey, hey! Ho, ho! Mayor Frey has got to go! Ho, ho! Mayor Frey has got to go! Ho, ho!
So there's Family Supporting Families is one of the local nonprofits that's actually been very helpful to a lot of families and supportive to the grieving families. They're having a ball, I believe, a 2-year anniversary ball at 6:30 p.m. today.
Murdered February 2nd, 2022. Lynched under his blanket. Killed in less than 9 seconds by an MPD death squad. Since the lynching of George Floyd, Dalal Eid, Dante Wright, Winston Smith, and now Amir Locke, nothing has changed. Let me ask you a question. Why do you think Derek Chauvin is inside a jail cell right now? The reason why is because we burned down that fucking precinct. No amount of peaceful protest will get us to justice in this cruel
grotesque settler colonial white supremacist society. No amount of reform is enough. Only complete and total abolition. You'll hear from folks who speak of peaceful marches, folks who are part of liberal nonprofits, folks who are part of liberal nonprofits who call themselves celebrity activists, even some of them who work with the city themselves. Some of these folks will try to control your anger. But I'm asking you, I'm pleading with you. Feel your anger fully. Be mad. Be mad. Because your anger is justified. Build barricades. Burn precincts. Reappropriate what they've stolen for you for thousands of generations. Most of all, show love to one another. Radical love. And show absolute hate to those who oppress us. Power to the looters. Power to the rioters. Say his name! Say his name! Say his name!
Give it up! As is customary, we're going to end with the Asada affirmation. But before I do that, I want to thank all of you for being here and, like that young brother said, bringing your rage. Because I think that people know that rage is dangerous and that rage is what is boiling over in our community and has been for decades and for hundreds of years before this. Before MPD even formally existed, we have been under a boot. It's time to get out. It's time to take our power back. That's what the Asada Shakur affirmation is about. It's about power. It's about our power. We have it. They don't. And every action, every burnt precinct is more of their power we take away. I do want to give you TCC4J, the organization that organized this march. We want you to stay connected to us because we want your rage. We want your anger. We want these badass youth out here in the streets with us, and we want them organizing with us. Those are the people that are going to bring change. So if you want to stay connected to us, our number is 612-453-3152, and we will update you on community control and all of the protests that we have. That's 612. Oh, text TCC4J2. I'm sorry, I didn't say that. Text TCC4J, that is TCC, the number 4 and the letter J, to 612-453-3152. All right, I want fists up. We have a duty to fight for our freedom. We have a duty to win. We must love and support one another. We have nothing to lose but our chains. We have a duty to fight for our freedom. We have a duty to win. We must love and support one another. We have nothing to lose but our chains. We have a duty to fight for our freedom. We have a duty to win. We must love and support one another. We have nothing to lose but our chains. We have nothing to lose but our chains. We have nothing to lose but our chains. All power to the people. All power to the people. Oh, last announcement. I'm sorry. If you didn't hear it earlier, the Family Supporting Families event is at 400 Wabash. It is at, sorry, what was that? Wabasha, sorry. Wabasha. Yep. 400 Wabasha. It's at 6:30. Show your support. I do believe it was a ticketed event, but it is open to the community. So
we'll figure it out.
Yep.
And also make sure that y'all leave together, grouped up, and make sure people get back to their cars safely, okay? No one walking by themselves. All right, all power to the people! Period.
We're done for real now.
So it has warmed up, like, since we started, which is wild. But...
What's up, Nico? Good to see you. You don't got a business card or nothing, do you? What up, Nico? You got a business card by me, too? Open that back? Yeah, here's the voice. Hey, maybe I can give you a hell of an interview someday. Hey, I didn't get it up. Appreciate it, man. Good to meet you. Appreciate the love.
So we are actually going to try to wrap this up. And maybe not get any interviews. I'm gonna do an outro and bring it down. It's about 20 degrees out here. We have the battery down to less than 10%. Second battery. We do have another battery with us. But we are going to show you some aftermath, a little outro, a little music, and then we'll bring it down in a moment. We got some redecoration of some of these windows over here. Got a bunch of medics here. We got the kid out here recording and streaming to multiple entities. Yeah. Yep. Drone out here. Got some graffiti that's happened. You can see ACAB and Amir. You see the medics over there.
A couple things, man. Always good to talk for Unicorn Riot, man.
Man, another one.
Another one.
About this one?
Man, like, you know, our abroad operations, I say our, like I endorse the shit. I just live in this fucking country. American military operations abroad, the little breach and kill missions or the capture missions, whatever, they're starting to become more public now. We're starting to get more video feed from when the special operation forces are going in and doing what they're doing. If you look at those videos and you look at how they're handling situations like Breonna Taylor and her husband or boyfriend, and then you look at how they handled just Amir Locke a couple of days ago, dude, they're not really trying to give people a chance to surrender or turn themselves in or anything crazy like that. It's like when they kick in the door, they want to kill. And it just goes back to these federal task force that, and this was a state state task force put together. It's just crazy, man. Like they're not, how they're moving, they're not going to stop unless they get incentive not to. You know what I'm saying? Like they're not going to stop killing people. They're not going to stop living above the law. It's not going to be qualified immunity. It's not going to be this politician who's talking that good talk. It's the people are going to have to give the state an incentive not to treat us like this. That's what it comes down to. Otherwise, like you said, we're here again. We'll be here in 3 more months. This is a quarterly thing. We'll be here. We'll keep coming here. Yeah.
Let me speak into this real quick. 1 second on the video. I want to ask you another question if I can real quick.
For sure.
So can you also think, you bring up a really good point. You know, your point is the militarization of these police is exactly what we see in Iraq is here at home, basically. And you see it from the body camera video, how they walked in and how they killed them. Just very quickly, 2 seconds. And you also, I like your comparison. Now talking about, okay, what's the way forward with the police? So it seems like they're continuing to get worse and worse and more militarized on that level. And now we do have maybe some transparency where the video come out quick, the documents come out quick, the personnel records, they actually came out on the same day, you know, that type of stuff. So, but the police don't seem to stop. And so where do you think we go from here? Like, it seems like the community continues to want accountability and transparency. Some of the politicians continue to say that they want transparency, but Hanneman is still not fired. And yeah, the police continue to go. Like, where do we go?
Absolutely. I mean, I think, where do we go? That is the $1 billion question. I mean, dude, we got a socialist on our council, on our city council. We got other people who are for the people on the city council. We had ballot measures that were snuffed away from us. So like it's kind of hard to. And then like that's just recent, very very recent stuff. Like I don't even know the history. But if you look at the long history of how those in power have rigged stuff, or like, you know, I don't think voting. I don't think. Even the local incremental stuff, that's not, dude, like I said, they gotta have incentive not to. I mean, you can put your favorite socialist, communist candidate and governor and mayor, like this is a whole system, if you understand what I'm saying. This is a whole, it's a beast in its entirety. And like, getting somebody in, they'll funnel that person and their fan base or their grassroots people who are supporting them, and they'll just funnel them into the Democratic Party. Or they'll funnel them into some irrelevant part of electoral politics that doesn't matter. And like, and then they'll just keep going on. They'll keep doing this. Like, you got Frey talking about, he's the executive mayor now, right? And then he did the no-knock warrants, no more of those. He did that last time. And like, I mean, 90 of those type of warrants have been requested since the last time he said, no, we're not doing no-knock warrants. And 90 applications for no-knock warrants have been applied for since that. And it's like, yeah, ain't no politician. It ain't no, it's going to take a real movement. You know what I'm saying? Not a non-profit organization, a real movement, you know, like, and radical love. I think somebody said it on the mic, radical love. It's not just, because with that radical love comes the trust. Then I could trust this person to maybe do this or do that, or, oh no, this person looked out for me, I'm going to look out for them. And then the more we build that, the more it makes the state obsolete, you know? And yeah, I think I was rambling, but I hope I answered that question.
I think you bring up a good point too. And then, okay, so for transparency, for accountability, Amir Locke's killer, we got Mark Hanneman. We also had officers involved in that SWAT team that were consistently violent as heck towards the community. What do you want to happen as a community member?
Man, I want the whole police department gone. But at the very least, definitely everybody involved in that raid. You know what I'm saying? Everybody. I mean, think about it. If someone's driving a car, right, and then there's another person in the passenger, and I'm in the back, and then it's a car full of people, and then you drive by a place, and then you shoot at, you know, other civilians, you kill them or whatever, everybody in that car is going to jail. Everybody in that car is going to jail. You get what I'm saying? Now, you got a team, you got St. Paul PD trying to pass the buck saying, we never applied for a no-knock warrant. We haven't done a no-knock warrant since 2016. But you like, so I guess it's common courtesy if you're executing a warrant in another person's jurisdiction to include them, right? So St. Paul PD was executing a warrant in Minneapolis. But you know how they operate. You know how Minneapolis operates. You know that they're bloodthirsty savages. But you employed them to come help you with a warrant, and this is the outcome. Everybody on that line, everybody in that breach formation who went into that, everybody involved, not even just the people there, the commanding officer who let Hanneman and fucking the other two people who were a part of the hunting shit with Jaleel Stallings trial in his case, the commanding officer who allowed that, who formed that task force to go in there, they need to be held accountable. That's why I said the whole department, because there's so many questions, there's so many people to be held accountable. It's not just Mark Hanneman that needs to be fired. It's the whole orchard. It's the whole orchard.
Yeah, anything else you feel like saying?
Man, I just want to reiterate that, they're not going to stop doing this until they have incentive not to. Like, I get it. We're not. I think some German fascist or Italian fascist back in the 20s said, circus and bread. You give a population circus and bread, they won't revolt. You can trample on their human rights. You can trample on their civil liberties. But if they have bread and circus, they won't revolt. They won't revolt. And, like, I get it. We're not. Upon the surface, it doesn't look like hell. Even on the surface, dude, we got millions of homeless people, dude, millions of people starving. But, I mean, we got our iPhones. We got Netflix we can go home to. We got our 9 to 5 we're going to clock into tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, dog, we got to put the material stuff behind us and understand what's really going on, that our civil liberties and our rights, our human rights are being trampled on. And they're not going to stop until we give them incentive not to. Now, take that what you mean. That's, going on strike, withholding your labor, withholding your finances, funding the capitalist machine that's going on, or taking the fight to them. However you interpret giving them incentive not to oppress the people no more, that's what we got to do. We got to give them incentive not to. That's not voting for their opposition. That stuff is trivial to them. They know how to. They got it so unlocked that that doesn't matter. Voting doesn't matter. It's so many rigs and cogs to the machine that the votes don't matter. Even if you get that candidate in, it's corporations in a trench coat. Your politician doesn't matter.
Appreciate you. So we got some more graffiti right here. You just heard from a community member. That graffiti says Amir Locke. We got the band still going on. Community members said a lot of the things that we some of the things we heard sort of towards the end, as well as just expounded upon a lot of what they feel like their way forward is. We'll bring you some of this music and then do a quick outro and bring it down. Again, thank you all for tuning in. This is Nico from Unicorn Riot. We're here live in downtown Minneapolis, where a protest of a few thousand just finished. And the people were all gathering for justice for Amir Locke. Amir Locke was killed February 2nd at 6:51 in the morning. 6:49 really is what they say on the 911 dispatch. They started giving medical attention to him at 6:51 or 6:52, so at least 2 minutes after shooting him, and they only gave him 2 seconds to wake up before killing him while he was sleeping on his cousin's couch, wrapped in a blanket. He was 22 years old. He was a registered gun owner, no criminal record, had a gun on the table next to him. Again, he was sleeping at his cousin's house. He does not have a bed there. He was on the couch, wrapped up in a blanket, in deep sleep when the police walked in with the key, announced their presence, walked down the hallway, kicked the couch, and killed Amir Locke. This is a marching band that brought some life to the protest. I'm not sure if this is unlawful assembly, but that is one of the marching bands here in Minneapolis locally. If you want to know more information about Amir Locke's killing, go to unicornriot.ninja. They released the body camera footage. The city released a lot of documents right away within the same day, and then the body camera footage the next day. The officers involved with the killing of Amir Locke were very violent, very scandalous in a lot of different ways. One of the killer, Mark Hanneman, specifically was a Hutchinson police officer and was implicated in giving illicit drugs to protesters in 2012 for the Occupy movement, as well as unhoused folks and dropping people off during this drug recognition evaluator program. run by the Minnesota State Patrol. They were caught. And if you want to know more information about that, go to unicornriot.ninja. We have a new post on that. Check that out. The other 2 officers were involved in Jaleel Stallings' beating, almost killing him to death, May 30th, 2020, during the uprising of George Floyd. Then, another officer, Kyle Mader, had violently beat JoJo, a homeless advocate, in December at George Floyd Square. So we just followed a few of the band members down this block. We're going to walk back over to the Government Center area on this other side, the South Plaza, and do the outro, finish it out, close it down. Thank you, Dan, for running the back end. Again, thank you all out there for tuning in. We are a 501c3 nonprofit. The only way we are able to continue to do what we do is your support. So thank you, thank you, thank you. If you like our media and our work, think about supporting us if you're financially privileged. Your support goes a long way. It goes straight into the general operating costs, and it goes from there. We are a horizontally organized media collective of a very few members spread across the United States and into South Africa. So again, to know more about Amir Locke, check out our website, unicornriot.ninja. He was killed February 2nd. We have more stories coming out. There was a press conference yesterday. Check out Georgia Fort's stream on Facebook for that press conference, or King Demetrius. King Demetrius was definitely on it as well. So again, I'm going to pop out these. Dan, give me a second, and you can bring it down. Yep,
So it'll be a left at the next light.
All right. So again, thank you all for tuning in. Check out unicornriot.ninja. For more information, go to /donate for donation. You all take care. Have a good night. You can bring it down now, Dan. Thank you for running the back end. Actually not good, you know, it's like still trying to figure out how to do it with Naz.
Yeah. He was like a father. I didn't realize how influential he was to my life till after he passed. I'll pop back in a minute. Okay. Yeah. Because I shot a bunch of stuff for him, and there was a lot of arguing about different things, but it wasn't like hateful or anything.